talking about part of the team, I mean, you have really big shoes to fill when you've got to follow the Jalen Hurts, Tua, and then Mac train, right? And that's what this young guy's gonna, we assume, do, and that's Bryce Young. The Bryce Young era officially begins, I would assume, Kyle. Is there any chance that he transfers? Is he ready to be the starting quarterback at Alabama? Is he committed to the Crimson Tide?
Yeah, I think obviously he's committed to the Crimson Tide. I mean, this is, he's getting the keys to, the Bugatti of the Alabama offense. There's a lot of guys that are leaving, but there's a lot of guys that are returning, a lot of unproven talent. But come on, it's talent at Alabama. And I think that Bryce Young, he didn't have a lot of opportunities during the 2020 season. So what type of sample size really was it, right? I know there's a lot of people that are that have different opinions about him. I'm like, hold on, let's see what he can do during the springtime. He didn't get a springtime during the 2020 season. He came into the 2020 season and, we only saw him in a few games, right? I mean, you look at the game against Missouri, he was 5 of 8, throwing for 54 yards. And the game against Tennessee came in, he was 3 of 5. Then against it was Kentucky where we saw, him go 2 of 2 with 53 yards and a touchdown. But other than that, I mean, we just didn't see him play a tremendous amount and really not even enough to really give a true sample size and a gauge of what he really brings. I think maybe in that Kentucky game where he kind of dipped down and threw a touchdown to Devontae Smith, that was, exciting. But overall, I think he needs, many more reps. He's going to get that during the springtime. And I think most importantly, he's coming into an offense that will have a new offensive coordinator. But when he takes the field, I think we're going to see the player that he can be, because I don't think, in the games that he played last year, I felt he always was rushing, right? Trying to make a big play. Whereas, in the pressure of being that number 2 quarterback. So now with him being the guy, yes, there's going to be pressure being the quarterback, but I think he's going to be able to handle that well. And I want to see how Dr. Matt Ray and Dr. David Ballou have put some more weight on him, got him game ready and ready to go into the 2021 season. But I have confidence in him. And, obviously Nick Saban does. They brought this guy in to be the quarterback, and let's see what he can do in 2021.
Loved watching the videos posted on the Alabama rival site, Bama Insider, of a high school version of Bryce Young, just tearing it up with the deep balls and all the other stuff that he brings to the table. He certainly has all of the talent. He's just kind of gaining the experience and the skill, Trey. What did we learn about this guy in his first year at Alabama through this 2020 season?
Well, we learned that he's still developing, I think, if nothing else. And we also learned that he has a really high ceiling. We saw some throws in the limited time that we saw him that looked really great. He had some beautiful passes, but he also did some things that you look at and say, okay, this kid's still a freshman. He still needs to grow. He still needs to learn. Still needs to get a little bit more of a complex scheme, under his belt before he can really lead this team. And I'm not going to speak for you, Bama Nation, but I personally am not going to sleep on any quarterbacks at this university for a long time. I did it with Mac Jones this season. I thought it was going to be Bryce's job from the get-go. So I'm not going to, any rat poison out there say that he's not going to pan out or he's not going to be what we expected him to be, because he definitely still can be. And, when you come to Alabama, you're on the best weight program. You're on the best diet program, everything else. So I think he will get bigger. He's going to have to get, I guess just smarter. He's going to have to figure out exactly when he can get out of the pocket and throw. You saw Tua Tagovailoa come in here and, kind of just get it from the get-go. He had that natural ability to get outside of the pocket and still make beautiful throws. Bryce Young is close. He shows some really nice out-of-the-pocket abilities, but he's still not all the way there. Got to simplify things a little bit. Unbelievable arm on the kid. So the potential's, certainly there. But, you still can't question if he's right for this role or not. He's undersized, and he still hasn't proven himself yet. Very limited opportunity, though, and he's going to get that opportunity to prove himself. And personally, I think he does.
Tony, he was only 13 of 22 for 156 yards this past season. He took a lot of bumps. He got bruised. I mean, he was hit a lot more, in my opinion, in that limited amount of time in those games than Mac was. What are your expectations for him with this job?
I expect him to be dynamic, and I think he's going to play a lot better now that he knows that he's the guy. I mean, look, you mentioned he had 22 attempts. I mean, I think a lot of times when you put a young guy like that, especially a 5-star guy like Bryce Young, who knows he's trying to impress, knows that the expectations surrounding him, he's going to hold on to the ball more. He's going to try to make plays that he shouldn't be making. He's going to make bad decisions more so just to prove that he can ball. I don't think he's going to have to prove as much this year. I think everyone knows he's the guy. He can settle. Can mature because, a lot of those mistakes are made just from being a freshman anyways. If you do all that and put it all together, I think you're going to see a drastic improvement. And look, this Alabama offense is losing a lot. And the thing that people said about Mac Jones was, when I never bought it, was you can't win with a non-mobile quarterback. Well, I don't think that's true. Obviously, we saw a team go undefeated with a quarterback that wasn't mobile. But what I will say is it is easier to win, or you can hide more when you have a mobile quarterback. And so if Alabama is losing what it's losing, I think it actually benefits from having a guy like Bryce Young, because look, if plays take longer to develop, or if things break down, like it might not be the most flawless offense, especially to start next season. I think having a guy like Bryce Young that can make plays could be better. And I think he might be the quarterback that Alabama needs heading into this next year.
The question that I have, though, Kyle, for you is, what about Paul Tyson? Or could someone else transfer in to compete for this quarterback job? Because it really never felt like Bryce Young solidified himself as, hey, look, if something happens to Mac Jones, this guy's ready to step up. Now, he didn't have a lot of opportunities, but when he was in, it wasn't very impressive.
Yeah. So, I mean, you ask about Paul Tyson, and look, a lot of people don't, know about Paul Tyson, or he seems to be the quarterback that's forgotten about. Well, first of all, I mean, the thing to know about him is he's really Alabama's biggest pro style quarterback, right? 6'5", 228 pounds. He enters the season as a redshirt freshman, and he has 4 years of eligibility remaining. So he's right there. And I think that people should definitely know about him. He's got a huge arm. He knows the offense. He's been within the system, the last, couple years under Steve Sarkisian. So I don't think there's any type of, need to be worried about looking to Jalen Milroe as a guy who could potentially jump either one of these guys. I think Milroe is going to be a fine quarterback, but I don't think he's going to be behind in terms of knowing the overall system of what it takes to play at the college level, number one. And I think Paul Tyson is that guy that potentially fit in Bill O'Brien's system quite nicely, right? A bigger quarterback who can kind of zip the football out. There's a lot of unproven wide receivers that Alabama returns besides John Mechie. So I think kind of the leveler is the new offensive coordinator, and the fact that both of these guys have zero experience. I don't think it's going to be a quarterback battle. I think it's definitely Bryce Young's team going into the season. But I think that Paul Tyson is going to finally have opportunities, and we're really going to start to see what type of quarterback that he can be. And I really have a lot of confidence in him. I really like his arm strength. I see a lot of similarities between him and Mac Jones. I think that he has a bigger arm than Mac Jones, and he has a bigger size, obviously. So don't forget about Paul Tyson when you're out there looking at the Alabama quarterbacks. And, Jalen Milroe is, of course, now enrolled in January with that great class of 2021. So those are your three quarterbacks going into this season. I doubt it that they're going to bring in a grad transfer. I think these two guys are going to be the quarterbacks leading this program into 2021, but do not sleep on Paul Tyson.
So you think that there's going to be a quarterback battle, but that it's Bryce Young's job. Trey, just in a couple of words, yes or no? Quarterback battle, who wins it?
I'd say no. This is Bryce Young's job. So if I guess it comes down to it, I think Bryce Young wins it, but I don't think so. And I think the confidence that they're going to put in him, will only further his career and make him better, because Paul Tyson's just not Bryce Young yet. And, maybe we see it at some point in the season, but no, I don't think so.
How about you, Tony?
It's all Bryce Young for me. I mean, look, I don't even think that's slighting Paul Tyson. I think, when you look at what Bryce Young brings, I mean, he was the number one quarterback in last year's class. He's just such a dynamic player. It's so hard to match. I think it's a case of Alabama's been bringing in just elite quarterbacks. So, like, when a guy like Paul Tyson doesn't get the starting job, it's not because he's not good. It's just because we're in a new age of Alabama quarterbacks where there's constant competition, and the next guy up is a serious guy too. I mean, look, if Bryce Young was to get hurt, I have full confidence that Paul Tyson could make this offense work as well. Obviously, they're totally different quarterbacks, but they're both talented kids, and Jalen Milroe too is one for the future as well. But when I'm looking at it, everyone's healthy in the offense. What player can make this offense run at its peak performance, it's got to be Bryce Young. Just he can do so much, just both with his legs and with his arm, and I'm really, for one, excited to see it.